I really don't know where to start this morning. I'm glad to be here. I hope you are too. I hope you're enjoying the cool weather that we've been having this morning. Very, very nice indeed. And when I say I don't know where to start this morning, I'm gonna fess up straight up. I stayed up way too late last night watching the presidential debate and wishing I hadn't. For folks who don't know, by the way, my name's Dan Greaham. This is the at-home update because I'm in my home and we're just kind of updating things that are happening in our world. And normally on our update, we generally try to stick to things that are happening here across Southeast Texas. And we do. And we generally avoid a lot of issues that Dan just doesn't want to talk about, including politics, because as I mentioned probably several times over the last 5 or 6 months that we've been doing this, there were two things that growing up, I was told that you never talked about in mixed company. One was religion and the other was politics. And I'm just a firm believer that politics are the business of the individual. You know, that there's no need for everybody to have to tell everyone else what their politics are. It's yours. But that's just my belief. Obviously, not everyone feels that way. We live in a world now where everyone wants to tell everybody all the time about where they stand on everything from politics to religion or anything else. But the point was that I had an obligation to watch last night to see what happened. As I feel like anybody who was going to vote in the presidential election probably did. Even if you already felt like you knew who your candidate was, it's still good to watch and get an idea of where they stand and what they, But let's be honest. I don't think you can call what happened last night a debate. And I'm not favoring either one side or the other. I'm just saying in actual form, you cannot call what happened last night a debate. That would be doing a disservice to all those high school kids who spend hours talking about positions and counters and rebuttals and strategies. Because last night, it was just kind of a free-for-all, among other words that you could call it. And a lot of people did. In an afterthought, they certainly did. So we're going to talk about that this morning. We'll also catch up on what's happening in the headlines this morning. We're going to talk about the latest scam that is going around that you want to be aware of if you operate a computer at your home. So all that and more coming up this morning as we work into this last day of September for 2020. All right. So again, glad you're up with us this morning as we work our way into a beautiful day outside. Do you know we were in the 40s this morning? 40s in Spurger, 40s up in Jasper, low 50s, 51, 52 in Beaumont, almost all the way down to the coast. Don't usually get that before October, but we barely beat it last day of September. Hey, just a reminder that if you want to comment about anything we talk on during the update, you can. If you have a question, a comment. I know some of you had questions yesterday. I only saw them after we got finished. I have to read. So when you see me looking over here, I'm looking at your comment. So that I can post them up, and see who's here. Like now I'm seeing Mary Walford is here this morning. Good morning to Tammy. Carlene is here. April, good morning to you. Pud Stafford is here this morning. Also Ruby Stokes is up this morning. Janine Foster, Inviter, says good morning as well. Rebecca Rankin has joined us this morning. Who else is up? Dinah is up this morning. Stephanie, still trying to figure out just what happened You may be trying to do that for quite some time to figure out exactly what happened last night, some of the stories that are coming out, some of the things that are being said. I'm not going to dive into the debate last night because, like I said, that's for you to do. And for you to decide what you thought, who you were impressed with, who you weren't impressed with. I know two things for certain. I would not have wanted to be Chris Wallace last night that was like a lion tamer walking into a cage with a bunch of lions without the whip and without the chair. I'm positive I would not have wanted to be that person. I'm also positive I would not have wanted to be the campaign chairperson for either candidate. Those are, or someone covering the story trying to report on it. So that's three things that I'm pretty sure I wouldn't want to be. But I don't want to get into the particulars of the debate because I think that's something that's better left for you to do this morning, to dive in, to talk with your friends, to talk amongst yourselves, to take it in and digest it and then decide what you think. But I do want to show you what I thought was a pretty interesting poll that is out this morning. Let me remove this. This is CBS News, and they did a poll after the debate where they asked people, and you can see it says, how did you feel? How did the debate make you feel? And I want to get into some of the different ones, but first of all, it was who won the debate, right? And this is purely, a situation where each individual can only say who they think won the debate. And I'm not sure anything changed anybody's mind last night, right? Then the tone of the debate, 83% of the people that they asked said it was negative. 17% said it was positive. I would like to talk to those 17% so they could explain to me what part of last night they found to be positive. Here's the one that I just think maybe best sums up everything. How did the debate make you feel? Annoyed by a long shot. 69% of the people they asked said they were annoyed by the event last night. 31% said they were entertained. 19% said they were pessimistic. And 17% said they were informed. Would that be the same 17% that found it positive? I'm not sure. But interesting note. All right, so the debate, the first, is in the books now, right? And you realize that there are three of these that were scheduled by the Presidential Debate Commission or whatever it is, the commission. Now the question is, I think I have to ask this morning, the question of the day. Is there any need for more presidential debates before the election? Or do you feel like I've seen it, been there, done that? What could possibly come out of this that would change anything or do anything or persuade anyone? So again, the question I'm asking you this morning, and you can respond right here on the comments section, is there any need for more presidential debates before the election? Yes, no, maybe. Stipulations, requirements. Because I saw where somebody said, well, you know what they need to do? They need to have like microphone cutoff switch for the moderator. Well, that's not going to work. Because if you did that, then everybody would be saying, oh, the moderator playing favorites. And who would want to do that? Who would want to take, I don't think anybody would want to do that. And then, it would also take a soundproof booth because no matter, you can cut the mics off, but you can still hear the people talking in the background. So I'll just see what you say. Jeannie Foster says it was absolutely crazy. Stephanie says, well, I haven't seen that yet, but I was wondering. She's talking about the debate. Gigi Blant says, no need for another. There you go. So let us know. And again, I'm not going to get around to all your answers, but you know that you can go and read them in the comment section there. It's pretty easy to do. While you're there, let me ask you to do me a favor too. If you'll just give me some indication that you're here, whether it's a thumbs up, that you appreciate us being here and that you enjoy the live stream, or maybe it's a sad face or an angry face or a tears face that you don't. But either way, I see them. I appreciate them. Somebody said the best thing to do would be cages and a bouncer. All right, so let's get on to other things that are happening this morning. Let's check out what's going on the KFDM.com website this morning, where, as you can see, sparks fly between President Trump and Joe Biden in first debate. And you had the Jefferson County Democrats and the Republicans both holding watch parties last night for the debate. So those of a like mind had a chance to get together, and watch things and talk about what they saw and what they liked about it. We have an update on the young teenager from Southeast Texas who's fighting COVID over at Texas Children's Hospital in Houston. And she has made it through 2 nights after doctors only gave her a 50-50 chance of surviving a procedure that helped her lungs and gave her the ability to breathe. Kevin Swearingen, the father of the 16-year-old, said that they were more than pleased with some of the things that had happened, to give them a chance to be with their daughter and to watch her on what's called an ECMO machine. It's a full life support device that really takes the place of her lungs for now, so that they can have a couple of weeks to heal. And hopefully that, when you're in a situation like that, if you've never been in one, where you're in a medical, all you can hope for is, that it works, that it takes, and that there's some kind, of improvement that is made. So we'll continue to follow that story as well, both on air and online. Also, I thought an interesting story that we had yesterday about the Beaumont Chamber of Commerce, talking about the economic impact. Haven't you wondered this when you were out driving around? Because I know I have, because I've looked and I've gone, wow, the volume of traffic across Southeast Texas is really healthy. I mean, anywhere you go, there are people out. Now, are they out shopping? Are they going to work? Are all the businesses flourishing? I think that we can't go all of them are, but certainly there are some that are probably doing very well, and some that are struggling, some that are just trying to make ends meet, and some undoubtedly that probably won't survive this pandemic. But the Beaumont Chamber of Commerce says, from their point of view, things have been pretty steady in Southeast Texas. That a lot of people have been able to maintain and carry on. Also on KFDM.com this morning, among the other stories that we're following, a fatal auto pedestrian accident on I-10 East at FM 365 last night, shut down the highway for a while. It is back open and running today without any problems. Also, new COVID numbers coming out from the Port Arthur Health Department. They had 2 additional COVID-19 related deaths. One, a man between the age of 60 and 65, another woman 90, 95. And again, as we've seen so many times, and it is a reality, underlying health issues are part of the process that leads to death by COVID-related issues. And these two had underlying health issues as well. All right, let's take a look at some other things that are going. I mentioned KFDM.com. How about KFDM's Facebook page, which is where you are right now? You can go there and you can check out what's happening. You see that there is a Joe Biden press conference that is getting underway this morning. As you can imagine, there's that poll that I mentioned about debate watchers and what they had to say about last night's, I'm just not going to call it a debate, last night's presentation. Also this morning, we're giving you the opportunity to watch the entire debate. If you're one of those people that you say, oh, I didn't see it, here it is. You can watch the entire 1 hour, 37 minutes, and 49 seconds at on the Facebook page. Just that easy. So again, if you missed it, or if you know somebody who says, well, I saw it, but I didn't see all of it, but they're still willing to make a point about it. Maybe this is the best way to do it, is to tell them, to go and take a look at what happened last night in its entirety. Also, I thought it interesting while we're talking about campaigns, and we get hung up sometimes on national campaigns, on the presidential campaign, but my theory has been and continues to be, your real world is not what happens in Washington, D.C. Your real world's what happens inside your house. And then from inside your house, it's what happens in your neighborhood. And from what happens in your neighborhood, it's what happens in your city. And from what happens in your city, it's what happens in your region. From your region to the state, you see what I'm saying? We tend to skip all the way out to the outer ring, when really what probably most affects us is what happens in the smallest ring, which is that very small circle of people, friends, family that we have. So if I take that same idea when it comes to elections, and instead of focusing on the presidential race, I bring it all the way down and I focus on the mayor's race or the sheriff's race or the constable race or any of the other races, those are the ones that really are most impactful on you, aren't they? It's a question. I mean, it's an observation on my part, but in my life, that seems to be the case. That it's really the people who can affect me the most are the people who are saying, these are the taxes you're going to pay on your house. You can say, well, yeah, but income tax. We're all going to be paying income tax. Well, not all of us, but most of us are going to be paying income tax. It's just a question of how much income tax are we going to be paying. But we can affect those races that are going on in our neighborhoods, in our towns. And that's why I was bringing up this story, because if you go to the Texas Tribune, it's interesting. 2 years ago in Texas, $125 million was spent on one race in the state. $125 million for the U.S. Senate seat. This year's ballot, you've got a race for the president, but political spending will not reach those levels in the state of Texas. Of course, last time it was Beto O'Rourke and Ted Cruz, right? This time it's MJ Hager going up against the incumbent John Cornyn. But there will not be that that's crazy money. $125 million by two campaigns. So again, I think it's important to note that, again, while we were having a lot of attention focused on our national elections, don't forget there are local races going on. And there are people that are campaigning really hard to try and get your attention and to try to get your vote. All right? So don't neglect those. Do your research, do your homework. Don't be one of those people that just goes and says, oh, I don't know who that is, but I'm just going to vote for them. I like their name, whatever. Of course, straight ticket voting in the state of Texas no longer exists. So if you're planning to go and just, pull the, as we used to say, the lever, which we don't pull levers anymore, but surely some of you remember that, right? That's what I always say. If politics were meant to be shared, there wouldn't have been curtains on voting booths. There wouldn't be side panels on the current, voting booths. We would just walk in, hold up a sign, tell people who I'm voting for. Now, a lot of people seem like they're wearing that sign today. But, I think a lot of people still hold very dear that idea, that politics and that my politics are mine and mine alone. And that I don't have to necessarily share them with everybody or expect everybody to think the same way that I do. All right, so that's the story I wanted to get to you this morning. And the other one that I wanted you to see, and this is, I always try to end on a lighter note. I'm not sure this is lighter, but it's certainly away from what we normally think of when it comes to news, and that's this. Be careful. If you do not already have some kind of protection on your electronic devices, do it now. It does not have to be expensive. You don't have to spend hundreds of dollars to be able to protect yourself from somebody stealing your ID. There are a lot of ways that you can do it. There are a lot of good programs out there that do a really good job. What happens when you don't invest $50 or $100 to protect your computer? Then you have things like this, ransomware. Microsoft is now saying hack attempts are on the rise and that ransomware is the most common. Do you know what ransomware is, first of all? If you've ever gotten a text with somebody who says, we've taken over your computer and you can't have it back until you pay us X number of dollars, you don't know what fear is. Because so many of us today are doing online banking, online bill paying. I tell my wife, and I will tell you the same thing. If you are using passwords and you're saving them on your home computer where you're doing your bills because you feel like, gosh, it's so much easier if I don't have to, log in every time. What you're doing is building a treasure trove for somebody who can come in and hack your computer. Because then they don't have to go anyplace else. All they have to do is go one click. Log in, log in, log in. Make them work for anything they want. Make them work for it. Don't give it to them. Make them have to earn it. And the way you do that is by encrypting and by putting some software protection, some software on your computer. I could give you a dozen different names. And you can read all about it on the internet. I always tell you, I'm not going to do your heavy lifting. You're responsible for that. All you have to do is, Google software protection. But again, go read this story about ransomware because that's what's coming. In a new report on digital defense, Microsoft said it blocked 13 billion malicious and suspicious emails in the last year. And more than 1 billion of them were URLs set up to launch phishing credentials attack. If you're not familiar with the word, phishing is when emails or texts are sent to you and they look normal. Oh, well, this is from the bank. Oh, this is from the savings and loan. Oh, this is from the car dealership. Oh, this is... And you click on the link and the next thing you've done is let the hacker into your system. First rule of thumb, open no emails. I don't care who it's from unless you can trace back the email address. And even then, I would be very careful. But emails are the number one way for people to take over your computer. And they are, as it says here, rapidly increasing their sophistication. It is harder and harder to spot them. Even the savviest person has a hard time doing it. And these are not people that live down the street. These are people that live on the other side of the world. And, like I said, ransomware, growing threat, hijack your system, don't let you back in. And the best thing you can do for yourself, again, be diligent about your online security. Change your passwords often, make them strong. And you probably can't change them enough. I know we all want to go, but it's such a pain. Yes, it is a pain. The other thing you want to do is two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication. That means that one password doesn't do it. It takes either a text to you with a number that you send back to them, but it prevents them from having, what again? Cherry picking, fruit on the ground, easy pickings. Make them work for everything that they get. If they're going to take something from you, make this. To me, it's essentially the same thing as leaving your car unlocked in a parking lot and having all kinds of things laying inside. Oh, look, there's a credit card. Oh, look, there's the wallet. Oh, look, there's a gun. That's like saying, please open my door and take things. Same thing on your computer. If you don't protect yourself, you're asking for it. And if it happens, it is a nightmare. You can ask millions, I was going to say thousands, but it's really millions of people who've had to go through it. It's not something you really want to do. All right, that pretty much does it for us today. I want to thank you for your time as always. I also want to remind you there are lots of ways that you can keep up with us. Of course, you're on the KFDM Facebook page, the news page, but you can also follow me, Morning TV Dan, on Twitter. Also, we have a YouTube channel called Dan's at Home. You can subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. But if you want to go there instead of the Facebook page, you'll see that we post all of our updates there on the YouTube channel as well. All right. So that's pretty much done for today. We have gotten our close to 30 minutes in together. And I always say I appreciate your time because I believe it is the greatest currency that we have. If you will reach out today, do something for somebody else. It's not painful, I promise. And it doesn't mean, oh, you're weak. No, it means that you're a strong person if you're willing to think about somebody other than yourself. So reach out, help somebody if you can, be a good neighbor, and we'll look forward to seeing you back here, of course, bright and early tomorrow morning on KFDM with the morning show, also on KBTV Fox 4, plus, of course, back here for our live stream tomorrow morning as well. And again, go out, make it a terrific day.